Today, we are talking collecting baseballs. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Hobby Talk, where today we're talking about the entire category of collecting baseballs. Game used, signed, all the different types of signed baseballs. These are one of my favorite categories to collect. I don't really know how to describe it other than when you have a physical item that in the case of game used was actually used to create this historic moment, or a ball that was held and signed by that athlete. It's just a different way of connecting as a fan to that player or that team. And so it's just an American classic. I mean, it's the Sandlot. The greatest movie of all time is all about a signed baseball. And so I love them. So first of all, I want to talk about different types of baseballs you can collect. You can collect single signed baseballs, and there's people that love them. They're super cool. I have several single signed baseballs. You can collect team signed baseballs. You can collect baseballs where it's signed on the sweet spot. You can collect them where you like the Hall of Fame logo on the side panel, and the signature sits right under that. People do president signed baseballs, which are really cool, especially when you get into vintage presidents such as Andrew Jackson or Herbert Hoover. I mean, ones that you never see. Then, like, kind of the category of single signed versus team signed or multi-signed baseballs. So obviously a team signed baseball, especially if you get a legendary team like the 1927 Murder Row Yankees, or this isn't as iconic expensive wise, but the 2001 Oakland A's. That's the Moneyball movie. The motion picture Moneyball that it's entirely based on is the 2001 A's. So team signed baseballs can be a lot of fun. Multi-signed baseballs kick ass, just finding different categories. So whether you're collecting, like, you want to get all the guys who have won the Triple Crown, or you want to get a 500 home run club signed ball, or a 3,000 hit signed ball, or 3,000 strikeout. So then you have this chase where if a modern player hits that mark, you then try to get their autograph. So that's an entire different league of collecting baseballs that I'm really into right now. Like having your own hobby project that you're creating over time. And I'm gonna have one to show you later this year. I'm super excited about it, but just the different ways you can collect baseballs. And then game used. Game used are probably my favorite. You're talking about, it's a moment in history.
If Wayne Gretzky sets a goal scored record, he puts the puck in the net, time, and they go get the puck, and they give it to Wayne. Michael Jordan scores the most points, time. Somebody gets the most touchdowns, time. You hit that home run, and you set any kind of record with the home run. Could be a guy in the bleacher, one of the bleacher bums going, I've got the ball. This ball right here is history. You were in the middle of that story. That ball puts you in the middle of that story.
They are now stamped in history by having that ball. We get cheesy as collectors, right? Like, think about it. We're collecting baseballs that are signed by another man. It's silly, but I totally get it. I'm here for it. I think it's funny to acknowledge that, though. Just like we collect magazines, like collectors are kind of nerds, but it's sports, and it's something that you just have to love sports to get it. It's that connection to the game. So game used, though, man, I think game used balls are so awesome. My dream item is a Babe Ruth home run ball, which there are a few for sale right now in an auction, but the cheapest one I've seen go is like 30 grand. And if they have really good provenance, much more than that. Obviously, if they're autographed too, I think game used balls are awesome. And then the different types of signatures. So you have playing day signatures. So when the athlete was actually playing the sport, versus post playing days, whenever a lot of times the autograph will change because they're doing a lot of signings and they just, it's something quicker. Patrick Mahomes, not vintage, but a perfect example of this. He used to have a signature that looks like the Patrick, and you could see the T in it and everything. And now his signature is a P and a couple squiggles. And so, collecting the different eras of signatures is kind of a fun chase. Mickey Mantle has a fantastic rookie signature that's very distinct versus as it morphed in the mid and late 50s and then got to when he was doing all the signings in the 70s and after he retired. So And then inscriptions. Inscriptions make these baseballs unique. You know, if you get a Willie Mays ball that he inscribed the Say Hey Kid, or obviously if it's an inscription that's personalized, like I had a Roger Maris ball that was I don't remember the guy's name, doesn't matter. And I didn't want that on there, so I took a magic eraser to it. Which that brings me to my next thing, the rules of signed baseballs. A lot of signed baseball collectors will have these rules. They're like, oh, I only like single signed, and you know, you never erase a baseball, and oh, you never get this person's signature on a ball because they did steroids and that reduces the value of the ball. There's all these rules, okay? My shirt says UBU, which I didn't realize I had on until a couple minutes ago, but when it comes to signed baseballs, I'm a huge fan of have a project, do whatever makes you happy, and go for it. So again, I have a couple projects that I'll show you guys later this year that I'm excited about, but signed baseballs are just awesome. And then what are they signed with? Are they signed with a felt tip pen because it's the 1930s or 40s? Or is it signed with a blue ballpoint, which is ideal, or a Sharpie, which can look like shit? So there's all the different, all of the different unique avenues of baseball collecting that are so awesome. Do they have a yellow toning? Are they perfectly white? There's so many things that make it cool. So that's why I love collecting signed baseballs. I think that a signed baseball is the most quintessential hobby item to collect. It's a signed baseball. It's Sandlot. It's America's pastime. So I think they're super cool. They're widely recognizable. Everybody loves them. Everybody loves them. And then this is major, okay? They're reasonably priced. Like, yes, you can get crazy expensive signed balls. A couple notable ones that I think are just nuts. A Herbert Hoover ball recently sold, signed for $214,000, or sold for $214,000. A 1965 Beatles band signed ball at Shea Stadium with Providence. It just recently sold on Christie's auctions for $176,000. So that was a whole entire insane auction put on by Christie's, and they were selling Geddy Lee's, a lot of Geddy Lee's baseballs from his collection, who has the most probably insane and inspirational signed baseball and just baseball in general collection. Game used balls, and it's nuts. But someday I'm gonna have Geddy Lee on this show. That's my goal. Real quick, time for a commercial break.
You know what it takes to be an all-star? Hitting, fielding, base running. All-Star Baseball 99 lives up to its name. The only baseball game on N64 with high-res graphics, real-life player faces and batting stances, and the only 4-player baseball game on N64. Wrap your rumble pack around that. All-Star Baseball 99. Looks like we've got ourselves a new MVP. Acclaim Sports. Sweat the details.
So now I want to show you guys 2 baseballs in my collection, and the first one is the steal of the century because I won it for $60 in an auction. And I want to lead with that just to explain to you how reasonable you can find these things. And if you're looking to get into collecting a different category, or send this video to somebody who loves sports, and maybe it'll spark them to want to start collecting them. But $60, I won this ball, and this is a signed on the sweet spot Bob Gibson baseball. So Bob Gibson played from 1959 to 1975 for the Cardinals his entire career, and he is one of the most feared pitchers of all time. He absolutely dominated. He's a 2-time Cy Young winner. In 1969, the MLB lowered the freaking mound because of Bob Gibson. A lot of people refer to it as Gibson rule. They lowered the mound from 15 inches to 10 inches in order to shrink the strike zone between the batter's armpits and jersey numbers and make the game more offensive because of guys like Bob Gibson dominating. That is bonkers. That was the most significant change to the mound in baseball history since 1893, when they extended the length between the mound and the plate from 50 feet to 60 feet and 6 inches or something. They added all that distance, and the game went from being underhand pitching to overhand pitching. So that is how nuts Bob Gibson was. He cemented his legacy by being so dominant that they lowered the mound. insane. So, and it didn't really affect him. He ended up in 1969 still striking out 269 batters and 274 in 1970, winning his second Cy Young. So I just think it's so nuts how dominant this guy was. And real quick, I'm gonna have multiple pictures on the screen showing what he looked like throwing the ball at you. I mean, you talk about why the guy was feared. You know, a Nolan Ryan would be tucked straight down and I'm sure it was still intimidating, but Bob Gibson is freaking sliding off to the side of the picture frame and just leaning all the way over. Looks like he just threw you an absolute heater. Bob Gibson, the freaking man. So awesome. Bob Gibson signed baseball. Really cool light blue ballpoint pen and a nice toning to it. I mean, 60 bucks. Are you kidding me? So Bob Gibson signed baseball. The next thing I have is going to be kind of a polarizing guy, Alex Rodriguez. And I get it, okay? The guy's kind of, you know, he's an interesting cat, okay? But he dominated baseball in the steroid era. Yes, he, you know, PEDs, all that, but he dominated baseball. He is 5th all time in home runs with 696. Anyways, I'm going to get onto the ball. I get he's a polarizing character. This thing is the home run ball he hit for his 331st home run on August 17th, 2003. And it was versus the White Sox. Sweet spot signature, has his A-Rod, you know, kind of authentication on there. And if you roll the ball over, it's got scuff marks from where it landed in the grass and where it's messed up the paint on the ball. And the reason I was so drawn to this ball was what I'm about to show you, the footage from the shot where he hits this home run and it's called by Stuart Scott and the Sports Center footage is there. And I was 10 years old, and to me, it just takes me back. So you have to see this.
Dominguez already TKO'd after 4, and then Alex Rodriguez doing work. Lord have mercy. 33rd homer of the year, hitting 306. Yes, Scott's done after 5 2/3. Bottom 7, A-Rod, knock him out the box, Rick, knock him out. 5th triple of the year. First time he's had a home run and a triple in a game since May 2001. It's over.
So I'm sure for you, hearing Stuart Scott's voice, just like for me, it takes me back to that. And it was just such a different era, even though it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. Life was just very different. So last thing I want to show you real quick. MLB now does certification, authentication on baseballs that are game used, and they have a very thorough program where the QR code, and you get on and trace it and everything. These 2 baseballs were from when my wife and I went down and saw Aaron Judge hit number 62. Obviously the dream item would have been the ball, but second best thing, I got some foul balls from the game 1 of that doubleheader where he didn't hit it, but it was the same day. I'd like to someday have these signed, Aaron Judge, the day I hit 62, because yes, it was the first game, but still, that's a really cool provenance. Knowing for me, I actually retrieved those balls, was at the games, so kind of a fun, again, project with a signed baseball. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope if you didn't previously collect signed baseballs, it piqued your interest, because I think anyone can appreciate one of these things. Until next time.